Welcome to this explainer. Right off the bat, I want you to just take a deep breath, step away from all that digital noise for a second. I'm going to act as your survival mentor today because we're looking at a genuinely fascinating trend. Young Americans, specifically Gen Z, are quietly but rapidly adopting centuries-old Amish off-grid wisdom. And you know, this isn't just about farming. It's a full-on active rebellion against digital burnout, out-of-control inflation, and honestly, the fragility of our modern systems. So let's dive right in.
Ask yourself this: if the grid failed today, like right now, how long could you actually keep your family warm and fed? Be completely honest with yourself here. Most of us, we rely entirely on this incredibly fragile web of supply chains, Wi-Fi networks, and electrical grids. And the second a storm hits or prices absolutely skyrocket, that whole illusion of security just shatters. We're seeing a whole generation experiencing deep, exhausting digital burnout, and they're waking up to the fact that true security, it doesn't come from a smartphone or a fully stocked supermarket. It comes from tangible, real-world skills.
There's this huge, stark divide in how we handle a crisis. You know what modern panic looks like. We've all seen the empty grocery shelves, the skyrocketing heating bills, that sheer, overwhelming stress of inflation. But then you look at Amish preparation, and it is a completely different world. We're talking acres of planted fields, quiet cellars literally packed to the brim with food, and this deep, unshakable community interdependence. When disaster strikes, they don't panic. They just lean on the resilience they've already built. So today, we're going to break down the 4 pillars of this kind of unshakable preparedness.
Pillar 1. Off-grid winter heating mastery. Okay, think about this. How do you heat a massive multi-room home without a gas line, 0 electric heaters, and without spending an absolute fortune? Well, the secret is this centuries-old concept called thermal mass. Basically, think of it as a natural thermal battery. See, your typical metal wood stove, it only radiates intense heat while the fire's actually roaring, right? The second that fire dies, you're freezing. But if you use dense materials, things like stone, cob, or soapstone, they absorb that heat, they store it up and act just like a massive battery, banking all that energy for when you really need it. This is the core physics behind things like the rocket mass heater and the masonry heater.
The mechanics here are just brilliant. First, you build a really short, incredibly intense fire inside a specialized combustion chamber. Because it's burning so hot, almost all of that wood actually converts to heat instead of smoke. Second, instead of letting all that precious heat escape straight up the chimney, it gets completely absorbed by that dense stone structure we talked about. And finally, that stone slowly, evenly radiates this cozy heat for 12 to 24 hours. Literally, a tiny bundle of wood, maybe the size of your arm, can maintain a comfortable 70 to 75 degrees inside a 2,000 square foot space for a whole day. It is absolute total financial independence from the utility companies.
Moving on to Pillar 2. Infinite harvest gardening hacks.
If you want to secure an endless food supply without relying on synthetic, commercial fertilizers, you need a really smart crop rotation strategy. It goes like this. Year 1 is corn, which is a heavy nitrogen feeder. It takes a lot out of the soil. So year 2 is beans, because beans literally pull nitrogen right out of the air and fix it back into the ground. Year 3 is squash. The squash acts as a living mulch to suppress the weeds, while its deep roots physically break up the soil. By combining this 3-year cycle of active soil building with a 4th year of just rest using a cover crop, the results are wild. And get this, when they time their planting to traditional moon phases, like planting root vegetables during a new moon to draw moisture down, Amish farmers are achieving up to 6 times higher crop yields. 6 times. It's this beautiful closed-loop system that just builds the soil's bank account year after year.
And their watering habits? They perfectly illustrate this resilience. Doing a daily, shallow watering, which is what most of us do, actually creates weak, surface-level roots that'll just die the second a drought hits. The Amish method is totally counterintuitive. They do deep watering, but only twice a week. This literally forces the roots to dive deep down into the earth, frantically searching for moisture. And what happens? It creates incredibly resilient, drought-resistant plants. So when you stack all this together, deep roots, strategic 3-year soil building, and moon phase timing, you get an agricultural fortress that modern commercial farming simply cannot replicate.
Which brings us to Pillar 3, the $1.25 chicken diet.
Now, animal husbandry is completely non-negotiable for off-grid survival, but commercial feed, it's ridiculously expensive right now. $1.25. That is the shockingly low weekly cost to feed an entire flock of chickens using traditional Amish methods. While modern homesteaders are out there hauling these expensive 50-pound bags of processed grain every single week, this method is exactly how you bypass the feed store entirely and completely beat inflation. So how do they do it?
The off-grid chicken diet basically relies on three things. First up, fermented feed. Soaking your cracked grains in water actually multiplies the good bacteria for their digestion, and it physically expands the volume of the food, meaning you literally need to feed them way less. Second, zero-waste kitchen scraps. We're talking everything from potato peels to stale bread. And third, natural foraging. I mean, chickens are basically miniature predators, right? They are meant to hunt for bugs, worms, and seeds. When you actually lean into their natural instincts, you get significantly healthier birds and these incredibly vibrant, nutrient-dense eggs, all for literally pennies on the dollar.
All right, Pillar 4, decade-long food preservation.
Picture this, the power grid goes down for weeks, or modern refrigeration just isn't an option anymore. How do you keep your hard-earned harvest safe? How about a 15-year shelf life? Yeah, you heard me right, 15 years. For raw eggs? We are also conditioned to panic if our eggs sit on the counter for a day, but by using ancient methods, they can be safely preserved for over a decade without spoiling. No electricity, no refrigeration, just brilliant low-tech chemistry.
Here is the exact lime water preservation technique, and it's almost medieval but so effective. Step 1, you mix 1 ounce of food-grade lime, that's calcium hydroxide, with a quart of water. Step 2, completely submerge your fresh, unwashed eggs into that liquid. And step 3 is where the magic really happens. See, eggshells have thousands of these tiny microscopic pores. Normally, they let air and bacteria inside, which is what causes them to rot. But the lime perfectly seals those pores. It wraps the eggs in this impenetrable microscopic armor. It completely blocks out all oxygen and bacteria, keeping the egg perfectly preserved and safe to eat literally 15 years down the line. Crazy, right?
Now for our final takeaway, the power of less.
So you gotta wonder, why is an entire generation of digital natives, people who grew up with iPads, looking at this physically demanding low-tech lifestyle and saying, yeah, I want that? It's because living with less isn't actually about deprivation. It's about unshakable confidence. It's about total independence from systems that are just too fragile. When you know how to build a thermal battery out of stone, you don't fear the winter gas bill. When you can preserve eggs for 15 years and feed your chickens for $1.25 a week, inflation just loses its grip on your mind. Embracing these skills is literally the ultimate antidote to digital burnout. It replaces all the anxiety of the modern world with real, tangible community interdependence, a place where neighbors actually help each other raise barns, grow crops, and preserve food.
I want to leave you with this thought. Having more stuff doesn't automatically create more satisfaction, but knowing how to thrive with basic necessities creates unshakable confidence in facing any future challenge. This whole lifestyle, it really challenges all of us to rethink what we depend on. Are you just a consumer, entirely reliant on a fragile grid? Or are you a capable, resilient producer? Because true security, it isn't something you can buy at a big box store. It is built from scratch with your own 2 hands. So take a look around your life today. What is one fragile system you rely on that you could replace with your own resilience right now? Think about it. Thanks for exploring this with me on this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one. Stay resilient out there.